Hi, my name is Zeke. Today we're going to talk about the process of vacuum sealing stones. The reason you'd want to vacuum seal a stone to seal any fractures or voids you might have. Hi, my name is Zeke. Today we're going to talk about the process of vacuum sealing stones. The reason you'd want to vacuum seal a stone to seal any fractures or voids you might have in the rock before you're going to cut and polish it. This is done a lot with turquoise would be a good example. Almost all turquoise is vacuum sealed, so you get that nice shine in the end. Let me just quickly show you what kind of tools you're going to need for this process. You're going to need a vacuum pump, a vacuum chamber, and for the particular resin that we're using cactus juice. Now, it's not actually cactus juice, that's just the name brand for it. What I really like about this resin is that it's a low viscosity, which is really good for getting in all those small cracks. Now, this resin won't do a good job of filling large voids, but it'll do an incredible job of filling fine cracks and making your stone hard again. One of the other nice things about this is it only hardens once you heat it up. So you put your hardener in this and it'll stay viscous for up to a year. Now, you don't want to do this inside your home, especially in your wife's stove. She'll kill you. It does make a lot of fumes that you're going to want to ventilate. So when I do this, I actually open up the window and blow it out with a fan. Now, to start off, assuming that you've cut your rock in oil, the first thing that you're going to do is take your rock out of the oil and put it in an oil absorbent. You can get floor sweep or something like kitty litter, and you're going to let that soak, get much of the oil out as you possibly can. The next step is going to be to put it in a container with acetone. You will want to make sure you put it in a container that's sealed because the acetone does evaporate quickly, and this is going to dissolve any remaining oil you have in there. Now, typically, it really depends on the size of rock you're doing, but typically you're going to put your stone in the oil absorbent for about a day and then a couple hours in the acetone to make sure you get all that oil out. If you're cutting in water, you're just going to let your stone dry out and then do a quick bath in acetone, a couple hours to make sure you're getting any oil out. During this process, you want to make sure you wear rubber gloves so that you're not getting any oil residue off of your hands. And that's going to commence the cleaning process. Once you have your stones cleaned and dried and ready to go, you're going to put them in the vacuum chamber. And here in a second, I'll show you some of this honey calcite and a piece of dinosaur bone we're going to put in the vacuum chamber so you can see it bubbling. Here's a piece of dinosaur bone that's come out of the oil absorbent. We're going to just stick it in the acetone here. Show you guys the whole process. I'm just going to completely submerge this. Now, acetone would normally be completely clear, but this is acetone that I've reused a couple times with this process. So that's why it's got that murky color. I'm just gonna get that completely submerged in there. I'm just gonna stick the lid on and we'll let this sit for about a day. I'm pretty sure it's dissolving that container. All right, here's 2 pieces of honeycomb onyx that we're gonna put in the vacuum pot so you can see the process of the vacuum chamber. I'm just gonna set those in there. And it's another important thing to make sure that you got your lid lined up correctly so that you get a good seal. So the process you're seeing here is the vacuum is pulling air out of the stone, which sucks the epoxy into the stone. One thing you want to make sure that you have is that the stone is completely submerged. You don't want to have the stone half out, otherwise you'll never get a good seal on it. One of the other things to make sure is some stones will bubble a lot more than others. So you want to make sure that you're only filling your container about halfway up so that it doesn't bubble over. We're getting a very mild bubble here. Some stones create a lot of foam and it bubbles up a lot higher. It's going to continuously bubble, and once all of those bubbles are gone, you're good to go. Now, depending on your stone and how big your stone is, this could take anywhere from 2 hours to an entire day under vacuum to get all those bubbles out. Once the bubbles disappear, you're going to take the vacuum off the off the pot, so that you have no vacuum, and you're going to let your stone sit in there twice as long as you put it under vacuum. So if you put it under vacuum for 2 hours, you're going to let it sit in there for an additional 4 hours to let it just sit and make sure it absorbs as much of that sealant as absolutely possible. Once that process is complete, you're going to take your stone out and you're going to put it in the toaster oven, and it's going to bake for anywhere from 2 to 3 hours. I like 3 hours to make sure we get it heated all the way through evenly, especially on bigger slabs and stones. All right, now you do have to be careful. Some stones are heat sensitive. Here's a piece of phosphosiderite that's gone through the entire process. You can see it's lost a lot of its color. It's a really pale color. Here is a piece that hasn't been baked yet. You can see that nice bright purple color. Now, with this particular stone, once I polish it, it'll go back to this color. But to give you an example of something you want to be careful with, opals, for instance, if you put them through this process, would lose all of their color because of the water in the stone. So you do have to be making sure that you're using stones that are safe with the heat. All right, here's a piece of dinosaur bone that's been through the entire process now. You can see that it has these large fractures in here. Before we sealed it, it was so crumbly that we couldn't even cut it, and now it's hard enough that we're actually putting a polish on it. Now this one has started the process of being polished, but you can see these large fractures in here that are now filled, and this is a hard bone again. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.